Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Zymox, and I'm your chief show attendant. On behalf of the two hosts and the rest of the crew, welcome aboard Weird Wednesday Flight number 13, non-stop, from your current location to parts unknown. Our flight will be of about 2 hours, and we'll be flying at the speed of sound. At this time, make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position, and that your seatbelt is currently fastened. Enjoy the ride.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to another Weird Wednesday. Yeah, it's another one. Can you believe that? We're still here. How's it going tonight, Jamie?
It's going.
It's going. It's going. Yeah.
It's going.
It's going a little better than that shit show we were chatting during last night.
I think a lot's better than that.
Yeah. Anybody watch the debate last night? That was interesting. That was an interesting hour and a half of entertainment. Gave me anxiety, I think.
Yeah, I did have to get up and walk for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, when three people are talking all at the same time, it was making my brain hurt.
Exactly.
Like, wait, who's answering the questions? Who's that? What the hell's going on? Yeah, that was what you call a shit show. But hey,
I almost got the links out.
There might be a couple more of those coming up.
I'm almost good. So we got Lori and Lara already, Azuriana. Janice is here. And that's as far as I got on chat so far. Trying to get the YouTube video out.
Yeah, I see a bunch of people showing up. That's cool. As always, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us on a Wednesday night. Wee hours of the night, as it is for me. I don't know what time it is where you guys are at, but it's midnight for me. And by the time the show gets over, it's like 2 a.m.
The weird Wednesday with the weird orange moon tonight. Oh my goodness. How many of y'all seen the moon tonight?
It is pretty trippy looking.
I don't think it's 100% full yet, though. But it's the harvest or corn moon, if you want to call it.
Corn moon. Cornhole moon.
It was just beautiful. I was on my walk looking at the sunset and the smoke, and I looked, I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Start seeing it rising up, and it was like the Charlie Brown pumpkin moon. Like, got in a distracted time warp for probably 35 minutes out there.
Yep. Yeah, it's finally nice here. It's like in the mid to upper 50s right now here. Actually feels good. I may actually open the windows tonight and not have the AC on. But yeah, Lori's like, speaking of orange, yeah, that debate last night. Yeah, I saw a couple of comments. There's, I think, I play in a band and run sound, and there should be a sound guy there. And I think for the next one,
they
should just cut their mics. They are going to do that.
I actually heard that they are going to probably be doing that.
Good. I mean, it's a debate, and they get worked up, and when one or the other says something the other doesn't agree with, it's hard to shut up. And especially for Trump. I mean, personally, I like Trump, but he's a dumbass. He's got a motor mouth. And he can't contain it. That's obvious. But yeah, I think there should be a sound guy there that's just like, nope, screw you guys. I'm in charge of the sound. You have no mic. Nobody's going to hear a word you say until it's time for you to speak.
Damn, I can't get into our own video on my phone, saying can't play video, of course, to get in a chat.
61, where Lori's at. Yeah, I'm kind of glad it's cooled down. I used to not like it when it cooled down, but man, it's been hot and muggy here. It's been hot and swampy here in Florida lately. It was raining the other day, pouring rain, and it was still like 90 degrees.
You were flooded, pouring rain. You were flooded to your knees.
Oh yeah.
It's still 79 with the see how ours has a little smoke advisory. Or wait, where'd it go? The smoke, it shows little smoke in the air instead of like the stars.
Yep. Yeah, this is what it looked like a mile from my house the other day here. We had, this town always gets flooded, but this is what it looked like when it was raining the other day here. And the water actually got up higher than that. It got up over the hoods of all these cars and came out on the highway. So yeah, it was interesting. I was driving down US 1 and I needed to turn onto a different highway, and they had it all blocked off, and I'm like, man, what the hell's going on now? Is there a wreck? And I pulled up and I looked down the road and I was like, oh, okay, that's a legit excuse. I'm not going that way. There was like a river in the road. So it was legit flooded. Yeah, 58 where Angela's at. That's about what it is here. Maybe a little less, actually. 90 at 9 in SoCal. Yep, that's what it's been here. Yeah, it was crazy wet here the other day. It was very moist.
Oh, don't say that word.
It was sopping wet. Yeah. I was looking at all my plants the other day and I was like, man, I got to water everything. And then that showed up and I'm like, well, took care of that. Don't need to do that anymore.
Why can't I play our video on my phone?
Because I don't know why, but just, because technicalities. We all suffer from them on show nights, right?
Well,
and speaking of technicalities, might as well go ahead and put this one up. Today, it's been 312 days, 10 months, 7 days since I've been waiting on this stupid ass Poltercom Pico. Just thought I'd mention that. Give it the scam artist seal of approval. It's going to be a year before I get it. I may never get it. I don't know.
Oh, not now. You won't.
Yeah, I know now because
You didn't. You just had to be subservient and quiet, and maybe
Yeah.
you'd be like,
through that,
May I have another?
you know me, I'm not
Any
going
of
to shut
that.
my mouth. It'll be 2-3 years from now, and I'll still be bitching about it and still putting up memes on it.
Yeah, you will be.
But anyways, so what story are we going to do first here? Speaking of weird stories, now that
No, Angela, I did not ask it pretty please play the video, but in normal Murphy's Law fashion, it just started to work.
see, no, ain't this a bitch?
What went on you?
Dropbox just decided to vanish on me.
See?
See?
It's not funny, but
Yep, this is how it goes.
okay, you want me to start?
Sure.
All right.
Which one are you going to start with?
I think we went with the Vietnamese used condoms.
Oh yeah, that because wait a minute. Now it's going to take me a minute because this isn't the right Dropbox. This is the World Wide Web of Weird. That's a different show.
Oh yeah.
So let me see if I can get back into my Dropbox. I thought I had all this planned out. I was like, yeah, telling Jamie, yeah, I got it all planned out. It's going to work great. Yeah.
So just picture in your mind right now a dude with like rubber gloves on and a mask reaching into a pile of garbage bags full of used condoms.
That sounds tasty, huh?
Vietnam confiscates over 300,000 recycled condoms for sale. A raid at a warehouse led to the arrest of a woman who said she had been paid by the pound to recycle the prophylactics.
Paid by the pound.
The police in Vietnam have seized more than 300,000 used condoms that had been boiled, dried, and put up for sale in a southern province. Officers who raided a warehouse in the province the last word is D-U-O-N-G, like dong.
Dung. Yeah, okay. I can.
B-I-N-H, bin dong. With used condoms. On Saturday, found the recycled condoms in bags weighing almost 800 pounds. The state-controlled newspaper reported. The state-owned Vietnamese television show showed thousands of prophylactics spilling out of bags on the floor. It was unclear what led to the police raid, but news reports said officers had received a tip from a local restaurant. The police arrested a woman in connection with the operation who told the authorities that she had received a monthly delivery from an unknown person and had been paid the equivalent of 17 cents for about every 2 pounds she recycled, they reported. She told the police that the condoms had been recycled through a process of boiling, drying, and reshaping them using a wooden
Yeah, I saw the picture
body
of
part.
the wooden dong.
Yeah, it was not known how long the business had been in operation or how many condoms have been sold. Condoms are designed to be disposed of after use, and reusing them could lead to breakage, slippage, or leakage.
Or
An
babies.
obstetrician from Dark Lake said the recycling used condoms was very dangerous to society. For profit, they can spread sexually transmitted diseases such as syphilis, gonorrhea, possibly HIV. She said of the warehouse business, this must be prevented. But recycling condoms is not unheard of among sex workers, especially in developing countries. And I'm already trying to think like where they're getting this, all this from.
Yeah, where do they get all the used rubbers from?
Yeah, like, and I figured it had to be like a process. It is not impossible to wash a condom, said Juliet, a sexual health expert and honorary professor, but it's never happened to my knowledge on an industrial scale. She said they would be difficult to recycle without equipment to roll up and repackage the condoms to pass them off as new. I already figured I was picturing it getting crunchy for one thing, like how they boiled it and all that.
Oh.
But if they get on the thing, then they just like roll it back down like the banana in health class, or like on what's it called, the Lucy show, the hand and the gloves.
Yeah.
Equipment to roll up and repackage the condoms to pass them off as new. She said it was unclear what impact boiling the condoms would have on their integrity. A rep for the Bindong Department of Health said health officials had not received any information from provincial officials or requests for assistance in the investigation. Bindong Province, outside the southern commercial hub of Ho Chi Minh City, is filled with industrial zones where factories manufacture consumer goods for export and domestic consumption. So yeah, how would they repackage them again? Get them back and they would just have them rolled up in like a big plastic bag, like the glow in the dark party favors.
Yeah, I don't know. I would just suggest buying some good name brand condoms. Don't go for those cheap ones that you get a good deal on off Amazon, maybe.
Yeah, because then where do you even find that? Like a guy opens watches condoms. Like, oh yeah, I got a guy. You need a condom. I got a guy. I get him by the case.
You can get 500 for $5.95.
Yeah, 17 cents a pop.
Yeah, when you were talking about used condoms spilling out on the floor, I was just like,
oh God, the visual. What was that Family Guy when Peter knocked over all the vials?
Yeah.
In the tidal wave.
Yeah, and they're all just plain Jane condoms. They're, like everybody's saying, there's no rib, there's no, glowing colors, glow in the dark. No French ticklers, no
rib for her pleasure.
Rib for her pleasure,
Just
not even lubricated.
Not even lubricated, no. Just raw dogging it.
Yep. See, Laura knows somebody. Has a daughter due to 99-cent store condoms. There you go. If you're gonna wrap it up, use a quality raincoat. Because you never know. They could have come off of some floor in China. I see pictures of all these masks, paper masks being made in China, and they're just like spilling out on the floor. It's like, Lucy and what's her name in the chocolate factory where they can't keep up and they're just like falling everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're putting those on your face. Another reason why I don't like those cheap China masks. They're from China.
And the freaking elastic breaks on every third. As soon as you put it on, it never fails.
Yep. Yeah, exactly, Keith. I mean, I at one point I thought, hey, it's kind of cool. The rubber machine in the bathroom. You can get, all the,
all the toys, fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like the
that's probably all that's coming from is they're probably recycled used rubbers from China. So yeah, maybe not.
Well, I can say I've never used a questionable anything 43 and no kids. Come on, I deserve an award for that. I made sure.
Yeah.
You want to. I didn't mind teaching. I love teaching. I loved raising everybody else's kids. Love it. Miss it. Do not want my own.
Yep. Well, I don't have a rubber story, but what do I have? I got this one. You guys may have seen this one circulating around the internet. Anybody in Texas that has been warned of the tap water tainted with brain-eating microbes? I'm probably going to butcher some of these words in here too. But hey, what the hell? Texas officials have warned residents of some communities near Houston to stop using tap water because it might be tainted with a deadly brain-eating microbe. The Texas Commission of Environmental Quality warned that the Bazaport Water Authority late on Friday of the potential contamination of its water supply by Naegleria fowleri. See, I'm going to butcher that because it's coming up again soon.
That's what.
Yeah, talking about rubbers and coming up. The commission issued an advisory warning people not to use the tap water for any reason, especially to wash your used rubbers. Don't do that.
Don't
Just
do
throw them
that.
away. For any reason except to flush toilets in Lake Jackson, Freeport, Angleton, Brazaria, Richwood, Oyster Creek, Clute, and Rosenberg. These communities are home to about 1,200,000 people. Also affected are the Dow Chemical Works in Freeport, which has 4,200 employees, and the Clemens and Wayne Scott State Prison Units, which have 2,345 inmates and 655 employees. The advisory will remain in place until the Brazosport Authority water system has been thoroughly flushed and tests on the water samples show the system's water is safe to use. It's said in a statement that it was unclear how long it would be before the tap water was safe. Brazosport Water Authority's water source is the Brazos River. Here it comes again. Naegleria fowleri is a microscopic amoeba commonly found in warm fresh water and soil, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I keep thinking about this. It usually infects the people when contaminated water enters the body through the nose, from where it travels to the brain and can cause a rare, debilitating disease called primary amoebic meningitis syphilitis. I think I said that close to right. The infection is usually fatal and typically occurs when people go swimming or diving in warm freshwater places such as lakes and rivers, which we have tons of here in Florida.
In Florida, big time.
Every summer, people get this weird amoeba in their brain and stuff, and it has killed a few people. But yeah.
Like if you get cuts in your feet, if you have open wounds and all that, right? If you go in certain water.
Yep. Can come from other water sources such as inadequately chlorinated swimming pool water or heated or contaminated tap water or hot tub water. Anything like that can enter the nose. The contamination of U.S. treated public water systems by the microbe is rare but not unheard of, according to the CDC. I don't know. Can you trust anything the CDC says nowadays? They'll change their mind on this tomorrow. The first deaths from Naegleria fowleri were found in tap water from the treated U.S. public drinking water systems occurred in southern Louisiana in 2011 and 2013. The microbe was also found in a 2003 incident in untreated geothermal well supplied drinking water systems in Arizona, as well as disinfected public drinking water supplies in Australia in the 70s and 80s and 2008 in Pakistan. So don't use rubbers and don't drink tap water, I guess. I don't know. I grew up drinking tap water.
Out of the hose.
Out of the hose, yeah. Who knows what was in it?
Sometimes a pincher bug.
But hey, maybe that explains why I'm so freaking weird. I don't know.
No, the fluoride.
Yeah. Fluoride. They used to do the switch program in school where you had to swish the fluoride.
Oh, yeah. Make sure we grow up nice and dumb.
Yeah.
And programmable.
Yep, Arizona's exactly. Do you still have to pay the water bill if it has brain-eating
Of
microbes in it?
course.
Do they charge
Probably have to
extra
pay
for those?
more, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Per amoeba.
Here they have like the guitar player in my band, Johnny. He a couple months back, like beginning middle of summer, he was kind of sick, and he was freaking out because of the whole COVID thing. But he's like, man, I think it's my water. And like here, every once in a while, I'll turn the tap water on, like in the kitchen, and it'll smell like full on like bleach. And the water company here, like, puts bleach and whatever, chlorine and stuff in the tap water. And he called them up and asked him about it. And the guy told him, yeah, we kind of screwed up the other day when we were treating the water. We like double dosed it. So yeah, you probably shouldn't drink that tap water. They never said anything on the news or anything about it, but I mean, I turned my kitchen faucet on and it was like burning my eyes.
Or
Like,
the shower, right? Like when you're letting the shower heat up, you can actually smell that bleach. They did that in Oakley a few times.
Yep. Yeah, that's what got him. It was like making his eyes burn and his skin was like hurting, and he felt like, respiratory. He was like freaking out thinking he had COVID or something.
It's horrible. Well, something else crazy for 2020 hasn't provided enough extraordinary ways to die. The universe offers a grim reminder that eating too much licorice candy can be deadly. A rare case of black licorice poisoning kills a man in Massachusetts.
Everything will kill you nowadays.
Yeah. A 54-year-old construction worker died in Massachusetts recently after eating an excessive amount of black licorice, which naturally contains a toxin called, doctors published a case study of his poisoning in the New England Journal of Medicine this week. According to the study, the poor fellow was at a fast food restaurant when he abruptly went into cardiac arrest. He gasped suddenly with full body shaking and loss of consciousness, the doctors report. According to this, paramedics arrived within minutes and revived him with 4 shocks and CPR. But when he was admitted to the hospital about 30 minutes later, doctors found he had multi-organ failure, profound metabolic derangements, dangerously low levels of potassium in his blood, and cardiac arrest associated with ventricular fibrillation, which is when the lower chambers of the heart twitch erratically without pumping blood. Oh, that's a horrible way to die. All of these conditions are consistent with licorice poisoning. Did you even know licorice poisoning was a thing?
No, I didn't.
Right?
I just thought if you ate too much licorice, you probably wouldn't poop right or something. But I didn't know. I didn't know it could kill you.
Plus, give me some red vines. Hell yeah. Like, God, the Walmart. God, when you first open that thing. But black licorice, how could you eat that much to die?
It's an acquired taste.
Disgusting.
Yeah, this dude was chowing down on some licorice. Let's say 4 or 5 bags.
Oh no. It's bad as candy corn. A thorough medical investigation noted he seemed to have no previous history of heart problems, and doctors pinned his condition to the candy. Discussions with his family revealed he had been eating 1 to 2 large bags of licorice every day for about 3 weeks before his heart stopped. Okay, and what's a large bag? By the time he arrived at the hospital, too much damage had already been done. He died about 32 hours later with his family at his bedside. Come on. Medical researchers have long known about the licorice plant's complex and toxic effects in the human body. Licorice has a storied and twisting history in Eastern and Western cultures, stretching back to the Babylon and Egyptian empires. Hippocrates prescribed it in the treatment of asthma and dry coughs. Chinese traditional medicine has used licorice to treat conditions from tuberculosis to peptic ulcers, but these uses were not without side effects. In the 50s, a dude conducted one of the first studies of licorice extract's anti-ulcer effects and noted the patient suffered swelling, violent headache, high blood pressure, chest pain, and pressure.
Wow.
Okay, so they're just going on and on about how crappy all this is. Plunges your potassium levels, is all this stuff. Scary but rare. That doesn't sound right then. If you only had 3 bags or whatever, 2 big bags in 3 weeks, every day for 3 weeks, that kill them. I'm sure then people will have to eat that like it like that too. Wouldn't other people be eating like that?
I don't know.
So how's it rare? I mean, maybe it can happen, but they should do another toxicology on him, and maybe somebody else got away with a little something and got to blame it on the licorice.
Yeah, exactly. Fisherman's friend. Yeah, man. Those little lozenges will kick your ass. Yeah.
Oh, they go on and on about this licorice stuff. I'm not even going to go on. Oh, they've mentioned red Twizzlers. I don't like Twizzlers. Twizzlers, I think, is disgusting. Oh, they're saying that one doesn't have licorice. Okay, then my red licorice, you want to talk, that has licorice extract. And I don't even want to say how fast I used to go through those Walmart licorice. Seriously.
Yeah.
For real. How many of those a month I would eat? How many in a month I would eat? No, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Jägermeister, blackjack gum. I've eaten some licorice. I don't love it, but I can eat it. But like, I'm talking like 1 or 2 pieces and I'm like, okay, I'm done. And I actually had a vape that I used to vape that kind of tasted sort of licoricey. It was really weird. It was a really, like, some people would try it and like be like,
yeah, no.
But I sort of liked it. It was weird. It was very weird.
Those little Mike and Ikes or something, you know how like they have little pieces of licorice in them?
Yeah.
But it has like that crap around the kind of chew off that, and it's got that little piece inside. Once in a while I can get away with maybe 1 or 2 of those, but that's it, because then your tongue starts to tingle and it's like ugh.
Yep. Yeah, Sam used to eat Mike and Ike's like a box or 2 a day, like every day. And yeah, she didn't like the black ones though. She got all the tropical flavors and stuff. So,
okay.
I don't know, but Josh, man, he says he can eat 4 bags of the Australian kind. He likes the black licorice.
Oh wow. Well, do you experience any chest heaviness or anything there, Josh? Any symptoms like that?
Yeah, actually, Briar, that the vape that I got that was licorice flavored, it was from I think it was from the UK. I forget the name of it. Mrs. Lords or something like that was a brand that was sold over there.
Okay, it's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn. All right. Well, I got another brain one. And this one is pretty much about the same thing as the other one, except this one is amoebas that are found in soil. See, now you can't only drink the water and get them, but now if you're digging in the ground, planting your garden, just doing everything cool, minding your own business, you can get an amoeba that turns your brain into a mushy liquid. Ain't that a bitch? So, what it says about this one: an elderly gardener died from a brain-eating amoeba found in soil after it turned out to be part of his frontal. It turned out to be in his frontal lobe and turned it into a mushy liquid, according to researchers in Georgia. The 82-year-old man is believed to have contracted the shape-shifting organism while potting plants at an unnamed location. Yeah, we don't want to name it, but it's probably the backyard in Georgia. At least it wasn't Greenbow, Alabama, and was later struck by seizures, according to a case study which was published this week. The man was first treated for bacterial fungi and viral meningitis before becoming drowsy and suffering seizures. Researchers from Emory University in Atlanta said in the report he died 9 days after being admitted into the hospital. An autopsy revealed an amoeba had turned parts of the man's dark matter into mushy, watery debris known as liquefacive necrosis. His cause of death was ultimately a rare infection of the brain and spinal cord, generally caused by the species Acanthamoeba, according to the report. I probably said that wrong. Not according to the report, just my own. The patient had previously suffered from blood cancer, but had been in remission for more than a decade. A Acanthamoeba infection in the eyes can result in permanent damage to vision and blindness, according to the CDC. There's the damn CDC again. But most people with normal immune systems will be exposed to it at some point in their lives without getting sick. So that's good to know, I guess. Hopefully we're all most people.
Did they say they don't want to tell people where it's at?
They just said it's in Georgia. They said,
but they don't want to say like which part.
No.
Now, do they not want to do that because they don't want people to go there, get the stuff, and maybe like set, like trap, give it to people? Or don't you think maybe people should know so they don't accidentally, go through it?
Well, when I first saw this article, the first thing, and I'm not saying it has anything to do with anything, but the first thing that popped into my mushy brain was all those damn seeds that were coming all over the U.S. that were coming from China mysteriously.
Oh, the seeds.
See, this kind of shit starts happening.
Oh, shit.
Mystery seeds. And
yes.
the article doesn't have anything linked to that. It just says he was potting plants or something. Who knows? Were they China seed plants? Maybe.
You could have started the sprouts and then planted those. I mean, that's good thinking there.
Yeah. I get a good thought every once in a while, even though it's...
Yeah, you do. And I was impressed on the word you said, the one before the one that you messed up on.
Yeah. I don't even know if it was... So far, we've been shown that you can't trust used rubbers. You can't drink tap water. And now you can't even dig in your own garden.
And you can't go swimming.
Yep.
You can't eat licorice.
Can't eat licorice. Don't go in the hot tub or the pool.
You can't go outside.
It's like when I go to the beach now. I used to just go to the beach and you could do whatever you want. You could have a campfire. You could walk your dog. You could play frisbee. You could do whatever you want. Now you go to the beach and at every beach entrance, there's a big sign and it's just no, 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 no. It's like all these rules. You can't do anything.
That's how the parks are out here.
Yep.
It's like, well, what can I do?
Exactly.
Okay, so last year we had, y'all remember the stupid fad that was going around TikTok? There's a certain cleaning product that kids were ingesting in their mouth, Tide Pods.
Black.
Well, the FDA issues a Benadryl warning as it investigates reports of teen injuries and deaths linked to the TikTok challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued a warning Thursday over serious problems with high doses of the common over the counter allergy medication Benadryl. Too much of the Benadryl can lead, I was going to say the long word for Benadryl, and I can't right now. It can lead to severe health problems, including serious heart problems, seizures, coma, even death. The FDA cited reports of teenagers ending up in hospital emergency rooms or dying after participating in the so-called Benadryl challenge on social media platform TikTok, which I haven't happened to see. Luckily, I don't get a lot of the kid shit in my timelines, but I haven't seen no Benadryl challenge. We're investigating these reports, conducting a review to determine if additional cases have been reported, the agency said in a news release. The FDA said it contacted TikTok and strongly urged it to remove videos of the Benadryl challenge from its platform and monitor any new posts. Healthcare professionals should be aware that the Benadryl challenge is occurring among teens, alert their caregivers about it. It's an antihistamine used to treat symptoms for allergies. It's safe and effective when used properly. And then they tell you lock up your meds and all that. So I don't actually know. I probably should have researched that. In fact, let's see, TikTok Benadryl challenge. I got flagged. I don't know what they're actually doing, and is it that they're trying to see how much they can take? Are they? You're not even supposed to do anything to show. Like I'm not even supposed to vape on there.
Oh, really? Whoops.
Mm-hmm.
Broke that rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I
Benadryl
remember.
challenge.
Yeah, the other article I read about it. Yeah, it was like, kids like taking like
Oh, they have a
14
warning up.
doses, 14 doses of Benadryl, and what is it, the diphenhydroxin or whatever in it,
Yeah.
the thing that screws you up. But I mean, just really, I mean,
So are they
people,
just like recording themselves taking like a crap load of the medicine and then acting stupid and then doing what?
not dying or dying.
Like recording themselves like look, I just ate all this crap. So when I looked up Benadryl challenge though, oh wait, yeah, a warning comes up. This phrase may be associated with behavior or content that violates our guidelines. Promoting a safe and positive experience is TikTok's top priority. For more information, see, I'm probably shadow banned again just for looking it up. But yeah, I don't know. Have any of you guys seen this or what these guys? I mean, the Tide Pods, you knew the kids would stick the Tide Pod in their mouth, right?
Yeah,
Was that how long they could hold it in there, or how did that even go?
I don't even know. What do you eat, a Tide Pod and fart bubbles? I don't know. I don't get it. I know, like, watching like Jackass and stuff years ago, like when they were, having people, they were like kicking each other in the nuts as hard as they could.
Oh God.
I'm like, I know this is going to lead to stupider shit. And here we are a couple of years later, people eating Tide Pods, doing the Benadryl challenge, sticking bottles of vodka in their butt, drinking it that way. It's like, wow, man. Wow. I swear the world is getting dumber.
And Laura, I have a recipe for cyanide. You can actually look it up online. You can make a potassium cyanide with stuff you have at home. Not that I'm recommending it.
I'm not a explosive expert, so I'm not recommending this, but yeah, you can make a lot of crazy stuff.
He's saying you can get it on Amazon.
Yeah. crazy. Yeah, licking toilet seats. Who in their right mind would want to do that? I'm just,
Wait, what? Licking toilet seats?
Did you miss the whole toilet seat licking episode?
Oh, Jackass?
No, that was a thing that kids were doing, filming themselves licking, going in like the public bathrooms and, being dared to lick the toilet seat. Like when the whole
What?
COVID thing came out and they were saying kids weren't getting it, young people weren't getting it. And they were like going in and licking a toilet seat to prove that, they wouldn't get COVID.
No, I remember people getting in trouble for licking ice cream, that they'd open the ice cream, lick it, and then put it back and get in trouble. Licking a toilet seat. What the fuck are these guys wanting to do? Just asking for it. You're not invincible, people.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I mean, at a time I thought I was invincible, but I still wouldn't be sucking Tide Pods and licking toilet seats. That's something I'm proud to say I haven't done.
Laura says her cats lick toilet seats. So,
I've hugged a toilet seat or two.
Yeah.
But I haven't licked it.
Yeah. I've leaned on one a few times for sure.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, geez, I got to take a shower. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Laura. I don't even like going in a gas station toilet. And, unless it's an emergency, like a serious emergency. And then it's like, the hover. It's like, I don't want to touch this. Exactly.
This world is just circling the drain, man.
They drink the purple toilet water too. That's just.
Oh, or they were eating. Remember the little things that go in the urinal cakes?
Yeah.
Were people like eating urinal cakes?
What the hell is wrong with kids these days? If
I don't
was
know.
my kid, I would just take them out and shoot them. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're too stupid to go further in society.
I mean, is that
like,
supposed to be cool?
I guess. I don't know.
That's what makes you cool these days?
Yeah. Is that like,
Yeah.
is I like to be the cool kids? It's like, hey, want to go out with me? I'll eat a toilet cake and lick the toilet seat, and I'll do 14 Benadryl. And
yeah, like you're like, yeah, I gotta go kick it with the football team. You're all excited. Like, what are we gonna do tonight? Go smack some mailboxes? Go steal some girls' panties? No, we're gonna go and lick some toilet seats, eat some urinal cakes, finish it off by sucking down some Tide Pods, and then overdosing on Benadryl.
Sounds like a fun weekend in the emergency room or the morgue. But hey, well, whatever floats your boat, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know. I just don't know. And it's not my world anymore.
No. We're just a character in it.
Yep. So this one, super healthy 19-year-old dies from coronavirus complications after returning to college. And this one is just not your typical coronavirus because, hey, it's 2020, right? So why not step it up a notch with the coronavirus? I have this whole weird, all my stories have to do with brains and stuff this time. A super healthy 19-year-old who contracted COVID-19 died of serious neurological complications from the disease after returning to college. Chad Dorrell, a sophomore at Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina, was a long-distance runner, a basketball player, and in tremendous shape. Did Trump write this? It was in tremendous shape. His uncle, David Dorrell, told the New York Times he was healthy, skinny. He could run 6 miles a day without any issues. He ran with us less than 3 weeks ago, in fact. He was healthy until this hit. Chad had returned to school, living off campus and taking online classes when he started developing flu-like symptoms. His mother persuaded him to come home, quarantine, and get tested for COVID-19. The university chancellor, Sherry Everts, wrote in a message to the students on Tuesday that Chad ended up testing positive on September 7th. After 10 days in quarantine at home in Walberg, North Carolina, Chad went back to Boone, but he soon developed severe neurological complications from the virus. When he tried to get out of bed, his legs were not working, and his brother had to carry him to the car just to take him to the emergency room. The doctor said it was a 1 in a million case, or was it just the first case, that they'd never seen something progress the way it did. It was COVID complications that, rather than attacking his respiratory system like normal, it attacked his brain. So, hey, that's something else to look out for, right? Chad's family brought him to Forsyth Medical Center in Winston-Salem, and at 8 p.m. on September 28th, they removed him from life support. Dr. Colin McDonald, chair of neurology at the hospital, said the staff was devastated to lose Chad. We're doing everything we can to figure out why and how this happened. So now, not only is, COVID out there and it, screws with people's respiratory, now apparently it can affect your brain too. So tap water, licorice, use condoms, COVID affecting your brain. What's the world coming to? I don't know.
It's going to.
Yeah, it's going to hell in a handbasket. So I don't know. I just found that one today. Popped up. I still have terrible visions of used condoms spilling out on the floor. Oh yeah, Laura, I've got a friend that works in an emergency room, and he's told me some horrifying stories. Yeah, from things being stuck in weird places to one that for some reason stuck in my mind. He said this really obese older lady came in and was complaining of these abdominal pains and this and that, and he said she was really like funky smelling on top of everything. And they started like examining her, and they found rocks, like chunks of rocks and stuff, like in her fat rolls. So, I mean, if that tells you anything about her hygiene, she had rocks in her fat rolls and didn't know it. And she was like, "Oh, I did fall down the other day in the driveway."
Well, I can see that happening.
Yeah, I can see it.
I was gonna say, like the pebbles on the side, you're something like you're rolling around, you like think about sand getting places. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say she had rocks shoved somewhere else.
No, that's completely different stories that I've heard about.
Yeah.
I've had a rock in my shoe before, but I don't think I've ever had rocks in my fat roll. Like, go to the sushi place. I'll have the dynamite roll and a extra large fat roll. I'm demented. I'm sorry.
I found some crazy stuff under the folds of my boobs, like popcorn. Like the next morning, like smashed popcorn kernels. You're just like, oh man, finding pennies and stuff in there. A lighter stuck to the side.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had a quarter stuck to my ass a while back.
Fruity Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles. No, my problem is I get in bed and I'm like all tired and I'm laying there and I'm like, and I, move my pillow or something. And I'm like, what the hell is, and I pull, it's like my dog's like hid a treat or something under my pillow.
Ew.
Like a chicken jerky stuck to the side of my face.
Ew. At least it was that.
Yeah.
Not like a dried on hack ball.
Oh, I've got
Hello,
those.
Kitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Before Sam's dog unfortunately got sick and passed away, he barfed in the bed one night like 4 times in the middle of the night. And yeah, it's fun to roll over in dog vomit. Put that one in a visual chamber for you.
Never want to lay in the wet, roll over in the wet spot.
Yep. The wet spot was not good. It had chunks in it.
No. You're walking down the hall in the middle of the night and you feel it up between your toes. You're like, no.
Mm. Yeah, Josh, that is even hard to read, much less doing it. But yeah, my friends told me all kinds of stories. Horror stories from
A
the
piece of spork, like the prong of the spork.
Hmm. You know, they make like specially designed toys for doing that.
Well, we did a story on the guy who stuck the USB cord up his urethra.
The whole cord.
The whole charging cord.
Like, how is that even physically possible?
Fished it right through the pee hole.
Yeah, I mean, here's one. How are you going to stick this in the end of your dick, like the whole thing, and lose it? The whole thing.
And like,
you know, if
I'm
it was
just
like,
picturing it like bunching up as you're like trying to like, it's almost like trying to thread back through your sweatshirt when you pull the string out and you're trying to put it back in your hoodie.
yeah,
You know, and it bunches up.
yeah,
And so it's like trying to
yeah. Well, I don't know. There you go. I guess that's one of the differences between the Wednesday night show and the Sunday night show.
the no filter.
Yeah, we're kind of unfiltered on this one, so
Kind of.
kind of. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I matched the background tonight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
Every guy in this, I hope so. I don't know why guys even, why a man would do that. And because then they want to pull it back out. It's the pleasure. It's like, I guess, butt beads, but you're like pulling it back out. I don't know.
I'd rather stick a bushel of corn up my ass than shove a USB cord in my dick. Sorry.
I'd rather do neither.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a gun pointed at me and I had to choose,
if you had to choose,
if
you're
I
just
had to
offering
choose,
up a corn cob.
yeah, it'd be like, give me that bushel. We're gonna fill it
You
up.
don't want to do that. I got a big old Brentwood corn here.
Oh,
We even got a Brentwood corn that had on the end of it another little corn like this. It was the fattest piece of corn with this other little corn. And my mom showed me, I started laughing and I just didn't want to say it.
wow.
I'm like, Mom, you can't cook it like that. And she broke off the little butt part and put it in some water.
You know, and this is the stuff that, like, you know, we talk about, and like the stuff that happens. Just think for a minute, all the stuff that doesn't get talked about that happens behind closed doors. Good God Almighty!
Yeah, like remember the story of the girl who got stuck in the bathroom hanging over the window? Like she shit herself and she was like hanging out the window. She met some guy on Tinder. I think Jason did that one.
Oh my God.
That's stuff that has to hit the news or, you know, someone has to tell. But stuff people just don't ever, like we're taking this to the grave, man.
Yeah. I mean, how do you even go in the emergency room? The guy had an excuse with the USB cord.
But he didn't tell them. He said he has stomach hurt. He didn't say, hey, I stuck a cord in my dick. I need help. He just said they did like 30 tests on the guy before they found it. Like, dude, tell them. They're going to find it. Tell them. What else are they going to do?
And can you imagine, you know, that first x-ray tech that is like looking at it and going, what? Hey, you guys come out. You got to see this. You know, there was like a whole crowd around looking at those x-rays, looking at the guy and looking at the x-ray. Oh, what is this guy into?
You know what he's into.
Wow. I don't know. I've done some weird shit before, but man, I'm like Mr. Normal compared to some people. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Moving on up. We got a cold case coming up.
Did we lose Lori? Oh, Lori's still there. Good.
Yeah, she's hanging.
Good job, Lori.
Hadn't done the creepy voice, so she hadn't left yet.
Okay.
But I do have a video. But for Lori's sake, I don't think I used the creepy voice.
That's how much we love you, Lori. We
Yep.
changed complete format.
I think about you. I'm still going to
For
do
you.
it from time to time. Just
Yeah.
warning, but I do think about it sometimes.
Yeah.
So, this one, well, the video kind of explains it. This one, the last two I did was on ghost ships. This is about a airplane that was hijacked, and nothing really like paranormal or anything, but well, here it goes. Tonight's Legends and Lore story is the hijacking of Flight 305. On the afternoon of November 24th, 1971, a man identifying himself as Dan Cooper purchased a one-way ticket from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. He boarded the Northwest Airlines Flight 305, a Boeing 727, carrying a briefcase and wearing a suit with a black overcoat. Cooper took his seat in the rear of the plane. Once in flight, he lit a cigarette and ordered a drink from the flight attendant. After receiving and paying for his drink, Cooper passed a note to the flight attendant, which stated that he had a bomb. The note went on to say that he wanted $200,000 in $20 bills, 2 parachutes. Upon landing in Seattle, wearing sunglasses, the mystery man remained calm and cordial to the flight attendants. Once on the ground in Seattle, the FBI provided the ransom money after thoroughly documenting and photographing each of the bills. 2 parachutes were provided to the hijacker, and the plane was refueled. Upon receiving all of his ransom demands, Cooper released all of the passengers and flight attendants. All who remained on the plane were the pilot, co-pilot, flight engineer, and 1 flight attendant. He also instructed the pilots to fly towards Mexico City at 200 miles per hour at an altitude of 10,000 feet. The hijacked airliner took off from Seattle at 7:40 p.m., with the flight crew under instructions to stay in the cockpit. Shortly after takeoff, flight attendant Merklo observed the hijacker tying something to his body. At 8 p.m., the rear staircase indicator light came on in the cockpit, as the rear staircase of the craft was being lowered manually from inside the aircraft. At 8:13 p.m., 2 parachutes and 21 pounds of ransom money in hand, Dan Cooper jumped into history. In the days following the hijacking, the FBI began to investigate the crime. A search of the plane yielded very few clues, but it was discovered that before jumping from the aircraft, Cooper had removed his tie. Many witnesses were questioned on a bunch of detective questions. A Portland, Oregon man named D.B. Cooper. Anxious reporters put the man's name out as a person of interest, and the name D.B. Cooper has been attached to the hijacking and Dan Cooper ever since the crime was perpetrated. With help from the U.S. Air Force, the FBI recreated the jump conditions of the jump and placed his landing in the area around Lake Merwin near Ariel, Washington. The FBI, with help from the state and local law enforcement, the U.S. Air Force, and the National Guard, began to comb the woods in the area of the supported landing site of Dan Cooper. The searches, eyewitness questioning, suspect lists, and trace of the numbered bills used to pay the ransom failed to yield any leads at all. To this day, the hijacking of Flight 305 by Dan Cooper remains an open case. In 1978, deer hunters near Castle Rock, Washington, discovered the information placard from the rear staircase of Flight 305. Castle Rock is located north of Lake Merwin. In 1980, $5,800 of the ransom money, 290 bills, were found buried on a sandy shore of the Columbia River near Vancouver, Washington, over 20 miles from Lake Merwin. The money was deteriorated and waterlogged, but was still bundled in the original packaging. Over 194,000 or 9,700 bills from the ransom have never been recovered. In 2008, a piece of parachute found near Amboy, Washington, 6 miles from Lake Merwin, is to be believed to be one of the 2 parachutes that Dan Cooper used in his escape from the hijacked airplane. These items, the money, the placard, and parachute, are the only evidence that's ever been located in connection with this crime. Then in 2011, an Oklahoma City woman, Marla Cooper, came forward to claim that her uncle, Len Doyle Cooper, generally known as LD, was D.B. Cooper of the 1971 hijacking. Len Doyle Cooper was also to be a huge fan of the French comic book character Dan Cooper, who was a skydiving hero. LD was an avid outdoorsman and a logger and was raised in the small town of Sisters, Oregon. He was very familiar with the Northwest woods and possessed the survival skills that would be needed to get out of the area following a parachute landing. Marla Cooper believes that he lost control of the money after jumping from Flight 305, explaining why the money has never made it back into circulation. Marla states that LD and another one of her uncles left her grandmother's house on the morning of November 24th, 1971, on a turkey hunting trip, but returned on the 25th, bruised and bloody, claiming to have been in a car crash. Shortly after that, LD Cooper disappeared and was not seen by the family again. According to strangehistory.org, a phone interview was done by Gary S. Smith. In a phone conversation with Miss Cooper on December 5th, 2011, I gained a lot of insight into the LD Cooper story, as well as her feelings on the subject. It should be noted that Miss Cooper is writing a book on the subject. Therefore, her protection, we will not reveal some of the sources and omit some information. He says, I asked Miss Cooper about Dan Cooper's attitude. He was very polite and cordial to the flight attendant, Flores Schaefer, to whom he passed the note to from when he ordered the drink. At no point during the hijacking was he ever loud, angry, or aggressive toward the passengers or the crew. Miss Cooper relayed to me that he had not been raised that way, and it wasn't in him to be that way towards other people. He was a nice, easygoing guy who smiled a lot. We discussed the jump from Flight 305. The flight attendant saw the hijacker strapping something to his body just before jumping from the plane. Miss Cooper tells me that it was explained to her by family members that Cooper had a problem during the jump, and in an attempt to correct the problem, the money became untied from his body. In any event, any of the money made it to the ground. The hijacker, he probably suspected that the money had been marked or documented, or in the words of Miss Cooper, he just knew that it was a crime and it was wrong. She went on to explain that reports of the jump had been misreported. The weather was bad on the night of November 24th, but D.B. Cooper told the pilot at what speed, altitude, and direction to fly. He worked as a surveyor and knew the area very well. It had been reported that D.B. Cooper jumped over a very heavily wooded area when in all actuality, he jumped over farmland. He had planned to put the jump himself inside of a 6-mile area that was only 7 miles from the home of LD Cooper. The parachute that was requested by D.B. Cooper was not steerable, which would make his drop dependent solely on the wind to carry his direction. Miss Cooper told me that 12 months after hijacking, LD Cooper disappeared and had no contact with his family. One of his brothers, possibly an accomplice to the hijacking, did report that in 1980 to 1985, the contact had been made between LD and another family member. However, the brother had his own troubles. He was questioned by law enforcement regarding his involvement in the hijacking. Shortly after, he too went on the run, making his way to an unspecified location where he remained for a year. Miss Cooper imparted to me that the actions of her uncle were a tragedy and deeply affected her family, with the uncle LD in hiding and another one on the run. It took people and time from her and other family members that can never be regained again. So, was it D.B. Cooper? Apparently it was. Some of the money was found, but not all of it. Did he get away with it? Did he get any money at all? Who knows? The story's still unopened. So, yeah, I think he got some of the money.
Yeah.
Like Ann says, she believes he laundered the money and lived out the rest of his life. Maybe still be alive. You never know. But yeah, when you ransom, when you hijack a plane and you request a couple of parachutes, I guess that's his fault. He didn't say, hey, I want steerable parachutes, not just like a cargo parachute.
He wasn't specific enough.
Yep. So they just gave him like a cargo parachute or something, and he probably bailed out and was like, oh shit, I can't steer this thing. I guess I'm just going where the wind takes me. And so he had problems. I don't know. But yeah, maybe he did get away with some of the money. But they say they've never found it in any circulation, and the FBI did take pictures and have all the serial numbers and all that, but who knows? There's a lot of money out there floating around.
Well, we've got a Voices from Beyond cold case tonight. Just did a quick video to catch you up on the story of the person, and then Rob and I both have our 20 questions. I'm going to run Spiritus and ask the questions, and then Rob's going to do the same. See if we get any interesting, relevant responses or anything that matches between the two of us. The anniversary, I believe it was in 96, October 29th or September 29th, which was yesterday, the anniversary. So they are reopening the case. They are re-examining DNA, and they've got some things to look at, going over witness statements, talking to eyewitnesses, this and that. So it is a cold case, but it's now an active cold case once again. Maybe we might get something that might be interesting.
Well, here's the little video that Jamie put together.
"24 years after gruesome Hartford dragging death, detectives continue to investigate the murder of Leah Ulbrich. Exactly 24 years after one of the most gruesome unsolved murders in Hartford's history, the images of Leah Ulbrich's case continue to haunt the detectives who have pursued her killer unsuccessfully year after year. But this year, with the help of modern DNA testing, investigators hope they might finally find the one break that could snap the long, blurry case into sharp focus. The sheer suffering and horror that this woman went through, it's probably one of the worst cases that I've heard, said Hartford Police Detective Drew Jacobson, a longtime cold case investigator leading the Ulbrich investigation. Every investigator I've ever spoken to who's either heard about the case or worked on it themselves is bothered by it. They all want to bring this to a close. Ulbrich was 24 years old on the early morning of October 29, 1995, when she was dragged to death beside a speeding car along a more than 4-mile route from the industrial South Meadows of Hartford to the southern edge of Goodwin Park in Wethersfield, where her body ultimately was found. Polaroids from the case file, never released to the public, document the almost indescribable gore along more than half the route, which law enforcement officials believe is the largest crime scene ever recorded in Connecticut. Yet, despite a series of witness accounts and years of poring over evidence, investigators were never able to bring a case against the suspect in the 90s. The crime predated mainstream DNA testing, and subsequent attempts to test evidence kept from the scene in the early 2000s also did not identify a suspect. Now detectives hope a fresh look at the evidence and renewed public interest in the crime could jog long-lost memories or uncover a new scientific evidence to finally bring Ulbricht's killer to justice. There are still people of interest in the case, Jacobson said. We're utilizing new technology, so evidence submitted back in 1995 is being resubmitted, reanalyzed. Hopefully those results will come back and allow us to do future interviews. It's disgusting. Ulbricht's brutal death began before 5 a.m. October 29, 1995, when witnesses saw Ulbricht in some sort of altercation with a person in a four-door Nissan Altima or Maxima near the UPS facility on Locust Avenue. She either tried to escape or was pushed out of the car as it sped off, but her right arm was trapped in the seatbelt. A Hartford Courant delivery driver near the newspaper's former facility on Elliott Street spotted the incident and attempted to follow the car, but it sped away at more than 60 miles per hour, according to police accounts from the time. A woman standing at the corner of Westerfield Avenue on Elliott Street witnessed the vehicle speeding by a moment later, turning south on Westerfield with Ulbricht still being dragged and screaming on the side of the car, investigators said. The woman called the police to report the incident. At the same time, Hartford officer Martin Burke drove north past a car without its headlights on, driving on Westerfield Avenue, and decided to turn around and pull it over, according to police records. As dispatchers relayed the witness's call, Burke realized he was looking at the same vehicle. But by the time he was able to turn around and pursue the vehicle, it had sped away, south, and out of sight. All told, Ulbricht would be dragged more than 4 miles behind the car, across the Wethersfield town line and along Jordan Lane to the southwest of Goodwin Park, before her mangled body finally came to a rest. Officers looking for Ulbricht found a trail of blood and pieces of her clothing and body that ran for miles to the storm drain where her body was discovered. Ulbricht was so torn apart that police could only identify her at first by tattoos, including the name Ozzy, and a pair of theater masks on her shoulder, detectives said. It's just disgusting, Jacobson said while driving the length of the scene last week. Until you actually see the length of it, it's hard to comprehend. You have to just hope she would have at least been unconscious from the pain of it all. Leah Ulbricht led a short and troubled life before her even more troubling, mysterious end. After experimenting with hard drugs in her teens during the 80s, Ulbricht recovered and started a family with her then husband Bob and 2 children in the early 90s. The short-lived recovery crumbled when Ulbricht's children were taken from her in 1993 after authorities found them living in squalor and with drug paraphernalia around the home. Her father told the Courant shortly after her death, she spent the next 2 years in trouble with the law around the state before a 9-month stint in jail in 1994. Ulbricht's parents believed she had finally turned her life around in the fall of 95 when she completed a drug rehab program, but they never heard from her after she left a Massachusetts halfway house that October. They said at that time, but they never heard from her after she left a Massachusetts halfway house that October, they said at the time. Attempts by the Courant and detectives to reach her family this month were unsuccessful. The next they heard about their daughter was from a Hartford police officer who called 2 weeks later to explain that Ulbricht had been killed. Police still do not know if Ulbricht knew her killer, but investigators know Ulbricht had been a sex worker previously, and prostitutes were known to work in the area around where the October 29 altercation took place. That route along Wethersfield Avenue remains an area of prostitution in Hartford today. Ulbricht's father, Robert Baskin, told the Courant in the days after his daughter's death that he hoped her story served as a cautionary tale about drug use and the difficult road back from it. I hope they will see that Leah was a real person, Baskin said at the time. I think we all value justice, and whoever did this ought to be punished. Despite several key items of evidence, no one suspect has been identified and punished. Ulbricht's shoes were found on the side of Locust Street, as if she had been pulled straight out of them when the car took off. Crime scene photos show. Her jacket was left nearby. Witnesses identified the fleeing car as a Nissan Altima or Maxima sedan, possibly with a temporary license tag in its back window. So investigators at the time pulled every single Altima or Maxima temporary tag in that state that year to examine. Jacobson said none of the cars came up with any evidence. Today, the incident would have been captured on at least 4 surveillance cameras directly tied to Hartford Police Nerve Center at the Capital City Command Center, where the network of city cameras can be monitored live and immediately played back to identify suspects or vehicles. But back in 95, none of those cameras kept a watch along that route. One key witness, however, has never come forward. The woman at the corner payphone on Westerfield and Elliott. Investigators even tried to entice the woman to speak to detectives in 2002, when officials announced a $50,000 reward for information on the case, the maximum allowed in Connecticut. Because of the angle of the lights, she may be the only person who got a glimpse of the suspect's face, Jacobson said. Even now, we would love for that person to come forward and tell us what they saw. Hartford detectives have meticulously pored over the evidence from the scene and kept enough of it that investigators were able to send some to labs for more DNA testing this summer and fall. One such piece, a cord from an electronic device found with Ulbricht's remains, could contain traces of the suspect's DNA, Jacobson said. Investigators only revealed the existence of the cord in 2002, and even today will not offer further details about it or other evidence in hopes they can still interview persons of interest in the case about their whereabouts that night. The only way we can solve a cold case is to talk to people, Jacobson said. Tech is awesome, but you're never going to solve a case unless you can talk to somebody. Jacobson and Hartfield detectives believe they are just one new piece of information from breaking the case, either from a long silent witness or a lab result years in the making. Anyone with information on Ulbricht's death is asked to call the Connecticut Cold Case Hotline at 1-866-623-8058. All calls are kept confidential. It's going to take that one little thing that's just going to, said Lieutenant Paul, the head of Hartford Major Crimes Division, snapping his fingers while overlooking the scene at Jordan Lane. You might get that guy who's just going to sit at home at his coffee table or cooking his eggs in the morning going, maybe it's time, he said. Someone who knows what happened saying, you know what, they're still working on this thing. I've got to tell my story. So yeah. I have a feeling she probably knew the guy. If like in my head, I'm picturing maybe she had sex with him for drugs, and he wasn't going to pay her, give her drug. They got an altercation, and she either tried to get out, or he pushed her out.
Pretty messed up.
Oh, it's horrible. See, and at that time I was 5 months graduated from high school, like living on my own, starting like my life and everything, and how different stuff can be. This poor woman. Oh shit! I lost.
Yeah, like everybody was commenting in there. She looked a lot younger than 24, even.
Yeah, she did.
So yeah, we're gonna do a little ghost box session. Jamie's gonna ask about 20 questions. She's gonna run the ghost box, and then I'm gonna do the same thing. And who knows? Maybe we might get some answers about this cold case. Voices from beyond. You never know.
You never know. And if they do end up with, if we get one thing I like to do when they do find out information on things that we've done like this, you get to go back and listen. Once you know the facts, then you go back and listen to the recordings and see how many facts were actually in the recordings that we had no idea about, during the time.
Yeah.
Car.
Right up to that.
Is this good?
Yeah. Everybody hear it?
Too loud? I can't hear you though.
Yeah.
Is it too loud?
Sounds good to me.
It keeps saying dog and like woof woof. When I did a thing earlier, it kept saying dog, and I was testing it.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh.
Hi. You guys have a dog?
Good.
Okay, I'm gonna ask some questions that we talked about earlier. If you can help, if you want to help find those answers, we appreciate it. Her family appreciates it. Who was the driver of the vehicle that drug her? Do you know who the driver's name is? Does anybody know the identity of the driver?
No. Yes.
Did Leah know the driver? Was this over a prostitution or drug deal that went wrong? Do the police have suspects that they're not mentioning? Have the police already interviewed the suspect without knowing it? What was the altercation in the car about? What made them start to argue? Were there anybody else in the car? Was there somebody else in there? Did the eyewitness on the corner phone see the driver's face? Yeah. Would she be able to identify him? Heard Meg twice. Did Leah know her killer? Did he pick her up for sex work? I'm assuming it's a he. Was this over not getting paid for her services by drugs or money? Did he not hold his end of the bargain? What did the woman on the payphone know the killer? Was the witness afraid to speak to police? The one on the phone. Was she scared to talk? Is the killer still alive? Is the killer already in jail for unrelated crimes? Has the killer already been run through the system so fingerprints or DNA might be on file? What is the name of the driver? Can you tell us the name of the person that drug her? We want to get justice for her family. For her. Are there any clues investigators need to look closer at that will help bring justice for Leah? What clues can help? Are there any messages or information that may be helpful?
Now, you
All right, thank you. I'm going to shut down in 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
May have been some answers in there. Now we're going to see if my ghost box is going to work.
All of a sudden, you just sounded quiet. I think I hit my. No, there you go.
One. New television. Mad. Please.
Right?
Okay. Lori heard the name Toby a few times in that last session that Jamie just did. Does the name Toby mean anything in this case?
The tip.
Right?
From our advice.
Who was the driver of the vehicle that drugged her?
Paired.
Intuition. Set. Breathe.
Is it
Set.
Does anyone know the identity of the driver or the killer?
Would say don't get that. It's just ropes. Your end.
I tell you.
nurse?
Accept.
Did it say we can't tell you?
All right. I think you're kind of intuition.
Did Leah know the driver?
Please.
I'm just gonna pretty much even. Sitting in the garage. Setting.
Seem.
Nothing. But nothing.
Was this over a prostitution deal or a drug deal that went wrong?
Cool.
So now.
You find when you
Fall.
It's to avoid like a gust.
Ma'am.
Did the police have any suspects not being mentioned?
Throat.
Roll.
so this
If.
Have the police already interviewed the suspect without knowing it?
So woke up.
What was the altercation in the car about?
Nope.
Outside.
Ow.
In your head or quietly.
Nope. Yes.
Situation.
Get him. The
Did she try to escape the car, jump out, or was she pushed out of the car?
7.
Nope. Say the word. Okay.
love it. And
Oh.
man, peep.
Like, there was transit. But
X.
oh, so
Just
to transfer.
do that.
Was there anyone else in the car?
Yeah.
76. And
Did the eyewitness on the corner phone see the driver's face?
Oh, exactly.
single treatment, special
Yes,
Did Leah know the person that killed her?
so
treatment. Mom's still up.
Did you say mum's the word?
Time over.
guys,
Tap.
Yeah.
listen.
Gosh,
Was this over not getting paid for drugs or sex services?
Last. The very last.
here should be on C.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Bombs.
1. 3:20.
Why did the key witness on the corner payphone never come forward?
This
Okay. Like they match just to make sure that.
You when.
Yep.
Did the woman on the payphone know the killer?
And then.
You focused.
Miss.
Just
Two.
3.
You go. He.
deal.
Through the
Are extremely hot. Feel. Sending. Bag.
Was the witness afraid to speak to the police for some reason?
make sure.
Focused.
Now.
Oh.
We should listen to it.
Two.
Or.
He.
What? What?
Is the killer still alive?
Spot. Just. And that. Little uneven. Reason. To do this.
Is the killer in jail for a different unrelated crime? Something about a brother.
You don't get that. It's just well,
For that. Oh,
My fuck.
what?
What is the name of the
Again.
driver or the killer?
First.
Nope.
tap.
My
It's a bit.
Are there any clues
My,
investigators need to look closer into that will help bring justice for Leah?
Dorothy. Yes. Each.
Do the spirits have any messages or any other information that might be helpful with this case?
Class? I have to go to class.
Hey.
Priest at high.
There's
Tap.
9.
Sure. Well,
Raw wants to know if there was a rape involved.
Hard. Extremely.
friend, elf.
Doesn't mean just.
When I ran mine, I asked a couple of questions. I thought I heard something about like a relative, and so it's kind of curious. On your side, someone heard, I think, something about like a cousin
Yeah, I
or a
heard something
brother.
about it was it was his brother or something like that. I have to go back.
Mm.
Cool. Well, thank you, spirits. We're going to turn it off here for this. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Constantly.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right at the end. I heard that too. Don't want children in the afterlife.
Yeah, there could have been a few things in there for sure. Yeah, did it say in the initial, how many, was it just her and somebody else supposedly in the car?
That's what it sounds like, but that's all people had seen. Like, you know, the lady on the phone, I guess, seen the face, and I get confused if it was two different people. Like, one person saw the face, but like she called it in or something, and they couldn't turn around and get him, or they're saying like the lady on the phone had a clear shot, like that she could have seen him. So I'm confused about it, but it keeps sounding like one guy in there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels like there could have been someone in the back seat.
Yeah, maybe so. A weird one for sure. Yeah, Rawl says he feels in his gut there was maybe more than one. Maybe you're crazy, maybe not, you know, that intuition.
And since this is going to be an active cold case, when they do start releasing information, if we, follow it, you might end up having relevant stuff that we're just disregarding right now because it means nothing to us.
Yeah.
And then later on, we'll listen back and be like, wow. Start to learn the vidette. How valid. I've been able to do that with a few, like the mechanic in Santa Cruz. I heard what I heard on the box. I gave my opinion on, this and that. When they found him, I was off by like a mile and a half. The city, I had it right. The rocks, like I was just a mile and a half off on the road, but he was down by, I pictured him more in the rocks on the water, but he was a little higher, like inland.
Yeah.
But the box, it came out with stuff that happened to be in the case that I didn't know until the answers came out.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you never know, it's like sometimes I feel weird, it's like, you don't want to like offend the family. Everybody thinks about these things differently and all, but hey, if it's an open case or a cold case and there's no answers coming out, maybe, just maybe there could be something that leads to, just another stepping stone in the case. You never know.
I get families that see videos, especially when I did them, further back on YouTube, that will actually message me on the side and tell me things that were picked up that were accurate. And then they'll tell me more information like, can you do another one and do, ask this and that, or, they're like glad that people are helping. I've not one time had anybody get upset or, and never blame anybody. If anything, it's allegedly, especially if it's in the news and people are saying, he did it. It's all alleged. Anything that's public.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. I mean, it could be one answer, one name, a street name, whatever, that turns out to be a key that opens something else,
Yeah, a mile marker.
Yeah. Yeah, what was coming up earlier, several people heard it. I think Lori said, what was it 326 or something? I mean, that could be a road, a highway, a address. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. Like, I mean, if the case is being opened again and, something happens with 326 and hey, you heard it here first. Weird Wednesday, voices from beyond.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I got one thing in the mail today that, from Paranormal Soup last Sunday when Corby was the guest. She mentioned a book, on channeling, and boom, I got that book.
Awesome.
I ordered it that night on Amazon. You can get them. There's a ton of used ones on there. You can get them for like $3 and up.
The one Debbie was talking about, correct?
I'm not
or
sure.
was it the guest?
Yeah, it was the guest that was. She said this is what started her. Somebody asked, how did she get into channeling? And she said, I read this book back in 1986 or whatever. And I took a note, wrote the name down, and I ordered it that night.
Very cool.
So that'll be one of my reads.
Yay.
A week or two ago, I got Terry Lovelace's book, Incident at Devil's Den. Because
I want to read it so bad.
Yeah. And oh man, I just had a brain fart. What's the guest this Sunday?
GL Davies.
There you go. GL Davies. That's one you guys don't want to miss.
Not at all. He is awesome, awesome, awesome. So many of our guests come through from him, and just awesome friend of the show and incredible writer.
Yep. Cool. That's about gonna wrap us up for the evening.
All right, everybody.
Cool, Ariana, you have that book? Is it a good one? Only problem, I'm like an audio. I'll be honest. I'm an audiobook guy. I have this bad habit of like I'll start reading and then I'll fall asleep.
Man, I gotta hold a book.
Yeah, I know.
I like the feeling of holding a book and looking at the pages. I have a hard time reading the
Yeah.
screens.
Yeah, I like listening to them a lot. I do enjoy reading them. I've read a few books this year, and like my Incident at Devil's Den, I loaned it to Sam yesterday, just because I haven't read it yet, but I know she'll read the whole book.
You're not gonna get it back.
Oh no, I'll get it back. She'll read the whole book in like a day or two. She's a full-on reader.
That's awesome.
So I knew she wouldn't have it too terribly long. She's usually like cover to cover in like no time. Yep. Corby Metlin. I don't know.
It was great.
I'm gonna destroy the name too, but yeah, she was pretty awesome.
I let her read me, and I'm very picky about that sort of thing.
Like Laura says, audiobooks make her fall asleep. It's just the opposite for me. Like reading a book makes me fall asleep, but I can put an audiobook on if I'm driving or whatever. And
that's different. Like audiobooks and driving are cool.
Yeah.
I liked them too. Like when Jeff and I used to do a lot of our walks and all that. We'd play audio. We had different books that we'd play on audio so we both could listen at the same time.
Yeah. So anyways, like always, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. You guys make the show great. So we appreciate all the input and the good ears listening to the Ghost Box and stuff. So we will see you guys Sunday night for Paranormal Soup with GL Davies. Gonna be a good one. I don't even know what he's talking about, but he's always got something great to talk about. So
Yes, sir.
And wasn't he the guy that did the book on ghost sex? So
He
there you go.
sure is.
It'll be interesting. He probably won't talk about recycled rubbers and brain eating amoebas, but hey, it'll be interesting nonetheless. So we'll catch you guys then. Thanks for hanging out with us as always. Love you all. See you next time. Bye-bye.